Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The Sensex and the Nifty end flat after a range-bound session. Mid-caps outperform with the index hitting a record high. The union government is drawing up a plan to announce SOPs in the run-up to the 2024 election. Sources say the scale and timing of the announcement yet to be decided. The government is also weighing a potential cut to excise duty on fuel, but no decision yet. The Union Finance Ministry warns that inflationary pressures may remain elevated in coming months, likely to warrant greater vigilance by government, and RBI expects fresh stocks and government measures will help cool prices. Shutters down at Asia's largest onion wholesale market in Maharashtra's Nasik as farmers protest the government's decision to impose a 40% export duty. The state and central governments attempt to pacify the farmers. Union Minister Piyush Goyal promises more procurement. Farmers stand their ground and demand a rollback of the export duty. Colgate-Palmolive CEO Narasimhan is on the prowl, says the company is in conversations over inorganic opportunities. Also adds that rural sentiment is improving, expects twofold growth in Palmolive's portfolio. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Vistara posts losses for the 10th consecutive year as expenses overshoot the total income. Net worth falls by 1,000 crore rupees. In the last 5 years, the airline's market share remains below 10%. Prime Minister Modi leaves for Johannesburg to attend the BRICS summit, tweets that the issues of concern of the global south will be discussed. There is, however, no confirmation yet on a bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Just over 24 hours to go for the scheduled touchdown of the Vikram rover on the southern pole of the moon. ISRO releases new visuals of the surface of the moon as it prepares for the final landing maneuver. Well, all eyes on the Chandrayaan3, but first up, the market action for the day. It was a range-bound session, so the Nifty and the Sensex ending the day flat. If you take a look at the Sensex, barely in the green, just about 4 points higher. Similar story playing out for the Nifty 50. The Nifty bank closing in the red. The Nifty mid-cap index, however, bucking the trend up 400 points. A new record there as far as the Nifty mid-cap is concerned. PFC, REC hitting record highs, the biggest mid-cap gainers this year. Nifty auto batted for the bulls and that index ended 0.5% higher as well. But on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. In the run-up to the general elections in 2024, we learned that the government is drawing up a plan to announce new SOPs and some schemes. But the timing and scale of these announcements is still a question mark. No decision has been taken just yet. We are given to understand it could be in phases. Sapna Das is standing by now with the details. Sapna, the government mulling various steps, various measures, but no clarity on when and how much. Take us through what you know.
Well, surely there's a game plan in mind and the government may be looking at certain announcements. But however, all of this is going to unfold closer to elections. There could be a possibility of additional cash spend closer to elections. So maybe starting from the festive season right up to the run-up to elections, there could be certain announcements. If you look back at the Prime Minister's Independence Day speech, he did announce a new home loan scheme for city dwellers, for example. So, something on those lines is very much possible. Even in terms of a fuel price, cut or some relief, crude oil prices have been rising and there is no freedom pricing for OMCs. But it could just be possible that the government may look at the excise option once again. Space is very limited, but that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be well calibrated. And sometime onwards from the festive season, we can expect these announcements to start rolling out. Having said that, the constraint, of course, as I just pointed out, would be the fiscal space. The fiscal deficit targets have to be also met for the current financial year. And the other issue could be actually inflation. So maybe the government is going to time it in such a way that, once they have a better hang or a complete confidence over both these issues, that's when you can expect the announcements to start. But as a run-up to elections, something for the common consumer is definitely in the pipeline.
All right, Sapna, many thanks for joining us. And as Sapna was pointing out, inflationary concerns continue. The Finance Ministry is in fact warned about inflation pressure staying elevated for the coming months. In its monthly economic report, the ministry has cited global uncertainty, domestic disruption and said that higher prices could continue to put pressure, and that is something that will require vigilance by the government as well as the Reserve Bank of India. However, the ministry has also added that fresh stock arrivals and government measures will help ease the price pressure in the market. North Block expects tomato prices to decline by the end of August or early September. The ministry has said that interruption in supply chain due to whitefly disease in Karnataka and the swift arrival of monsoon in northern India has caused a surge in tomato prices. Well, from tomatoes now to onions. Farmers in Maharashtra are up in arms over the government's decision to impose a 40% export duty on onions. This is the first time that the government has imposed an export duty. The move is aimed at boosting domestic supplies of the kitchen staple and curbing the price rise that we are currently seeing. Maharashtra's Nasik is home to Asia's largest onion market. Farmers have shut down wholesale markets in the district and are demanding that the government roll back its decision on export duty. Now, in a bid to pacify protesting farmers, Union Minister for Consumer Affairs Piyush Goyal has promised more procurement of onions if needed. Maharashtra's Agri Minister has meanwhile said that onions are being procured from farmers at 2,410 rupees a quintal, which he claims is the highest procurement rate ever. The central government agencies had procured onions at 1,300 rupees, but farmers are not buying any of this. They've termed the promise of more procurement an eyewash and demanded a rollback of the export duty.
भारत सरकार के आदेश पर एनसीसीएफ और नैफेड ने 3 लाख टन प्याज नासिक, लासनगांव, अहमदनगर इस पूरे क्षेत्र से खरीदा, जिसके कारण प्याज के दाम भी अच्छे रहे और किसानों को भी लाभ हुआ। एनसीसीएफ और नैफेड और 2 लाख टन नासिक, जिसके पिंपलगांव, लासनगांव, अहमदनगर इस पूरे क्षेत्र में 2 लाख टन और प्याज की खरीद शुरू कर देगी। आगे चल के और खरीदना पड़े तो और भी खरीदने के लिए तैयार है।
There were protests yesterday also, and in morning also there was some protest in Nasik district and some in Pune. So I am telling that it is truth now. We have got the historical rate for the onion. Last year it was on 1,200 rupees per quintal. They were NAFED was central government was recruiting the onion. So this time it's on 2,410 rupees. It's the highest. It's double.
2 लाख मेट्रिक टन प्याज जो है ये नाफेड के माध्यम से खरीदी किया जाएगा, और जो मैंने उनको कहा कि जो कंटेनर में लोड हुआ है उसको भी खरीदेंगे बोले, और इसके बावजूद और भी जो कुछ करना पड़े उसकी भी वो भी करेंगे।
Biggest mandis in Asia, that is Lasalgaon, Pimpalgaon, in fact Nifad, all these mandis are not functional since Sunday, and we are being joined by a group of farmers. We'll try and talk to them to understand what exactly their concerns are. मैं आपसे शुरुआत करती हूँ। मुझे सबसे पहले एक्सपोर्ट ड्यूटी को लेकर के ज्यादा गुस्सा किसानों में आ गया था, तो उसको लेकर के आप लोगों की क्या सबसे बड़ी आपको लगता है कि समस्या है, और सरकार से क्या शिकायत और क्या मांग है?
अभी तो किसान बहुत बड़े संकट में, अभी सूखा दुष्काल पड़ा हुआ है, पिछले साल में गिल्ला दुष्काल था, इसकी वजह से किसान तो बहुत अड़चन में अभी ये साल में दिखाई दे रहा है।
अभी तो 2 पैसे किसान भाइयों को मिलने वाले थे, उससे पहले वो सरकार ने हटा दिए।
2100 रुपए में भी बेचा तो भी कम से कम मेरे को 2000 रुपए लॉस में आ रहा है।
क्विंटल की
3000, 3500, 4000 तक भाव चाहिए।
10-20 रुपए किसानों को मिल रहे थे ये महीने पे। ये केंद्र सरकार को अच्छा नहीं दिखा, और केंद्र सरकार ने 40% निर्यात शुल्क लगाकर किसानों को भरा घोर निराशा कर दी।
This empty ground which you can see is Asia's biggest onion market. This is the Lasalgaon onion market located in Nashik district of Maharashtra. The reason this particular market is looking like this because it's the 3rd consecutive day that this market and other onion markets in Nashik and multiple parts of Maharashtra are not functional. The reason these markets are not operational because both onion farmers and onion traders are actually on a strike. It's the third consecutive day. So the traders are protesting against the government's move. Government on Saturday announced that a 40% export duty will be imposed on onions. So the traders are saying that this step is going to harm them, and the least the government could have done is at least exempt their already ready containers.
Well, our colleague Santya Gora there reporting from Lasalgaon in Nasik. Amidst all of this, Maharashtra's PWC Minister Dadaji Bhuse stirred up a controversy by suggesting that people refrain from consuming onions if they cannot afford to buy them. Take a look.
एक 25 रुपयाने 20 रुपयाने कांदा गेला आणि कोणाला परवडत नसेल तर त्याने महिने 2 महिने 4 महिने कांदा खाल्ला नाही तर काय बिघडतंय त्या शेतकऱ्याच्या कुटुंबाला जर या माध्यमातून 2 पैसे मिळणार असतील तर त्याने त्याची मानसिकता तशी ठेवली पाहिजे.
Don't eat onions if you can't afford them. That's Maharashtra's PWD minister. The big newsmaker tonight, Prabha Narasimhan, the MD and CEO of Colgate-Palmolive, is on the prowl. Speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18, Prabha said the company is in talks over possible inorganic opportunities, but stopped short of revealing any further details. Narasimhan also believes the macroeconomic recovery is underway and rural sentiment is improving. Take a look.
Rural volumes are inching back to being positive, which is great. I think inflation cooling off is helping this entire thing of consumers realizing the importance of oral care and coming back to those categories. And the macroeconomic indicators are certainly providing some green shoots, which we hope will continue over the coming months and quarters. We are also equally interested in inorganic opportunities in this space as well. So we are in conversation on some inorganic opportunities, as most companies are all of the time. And again, not at liberty to give specifics on it, but it is certainly on our radar.
Well, that's Prabha Narasimhan of Colgate-Palmolive saying that they are open to inorganic opportunities in India. A quick check of some of the other headlines we're tracking. The board of Union Bank has approved a plan to raise up to 5,000 crore rupees via qualified institutional placement. The floor price has been set at 91 rupees a share. The decision comes a month after the bank reported a 107% rise in its standalone first quarter net profit. A CNBC-TV18 news break is confirmed. The government has appointed Axis Bank Chief Economist Nilkant Mishra as part-time chairperson of the Unique Identification Authority, that's India's statutory body Aadhaar. Mishra joined Axis Bank in May this year after spending over 2 decades at Credit Suisse. Meanwhile, Nilesh Shah, the MD of Kotak AMC, and IIT Professor Mosam have also been appointed as part-time members of the UIDAI. The chairperson and members will hold office for 3 years. In a bid to improve road safety, Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari has launched the car safety rating system called the Bharat New Car Assessment Program. Minister Gadkari said that crash tests under the new program will cost 60 lakh rupees compared to the cost of 2.5 crore rupees under the global crash testing standards. The new program is slated to be effective from October.
The estimated cost in India would be about 60 lakh. So definitely this will also attract export market, that is, people will like to take advantage of this service once this gets properly established and once the credibility comes in. This happens with time, then it will also establish another export market for the country. Followed consciously, aligning our standards with the global standards so that at some point of time we can go for the mutual recognition, which is very important for industry.
Well, Bharat NCAP is here. Time for us to head into a short break, but up next, just over 24 hours to go for the scheduled touchdown of the Vikram lander on the southern pole of the moon. We track the last lap when we return. Well, here's news from the aviation space. Vistara posting losses for the 10th consecutive year as expenses continue to overshoot total income. The airline was set up in 2015 as a joint venture between Air India and Singapore Airlines. But even after a decade of its journey in India, the airline has been struggling to make profits. Madiha is standing by now to take us through Vistara's financial performance over the years. Madiha, so continues to make losses. That's Vistara, and ahead of its merger now with Air India, this is going to be an interesting play.
Well, it's surely disappointing for an airline that has not made profits even a single time since a decade after commencing operations. Let's first look at how it fared in 2022-2023. Vistara's total income stood at around 12,500 crores, but expenses crossed 13,890 crores, resulting in a loss of 1,400 crores. Let's look at the trajectory of losses now. From 199 crores in 2014-15, the losses continued and rose over the years. The steepest loss was during the pandemic, and as you see, in the year 2019-20, Vistara posted a loss of 1,800 crores, which went up to 1,600 crores in 2021-2022 and 1,400 crores in 2022-2023. This naturally hit the airline's net worth. From over 1,400 crores in 2018-2019, the net worth fell to 1,566 crores in 2020-2021 and 500 crores in 2022-2023. That's a drop of 1,000 crores in 5 years and its net worth. Vistara's market share couldn't grow above 10% ever since it started flying. From 1.3% in 2015, the market share was the highest in 2022 at 9.2% and again fell to 8.7% in 2023 so far. This also explains why Singapore Airlines agreed to merge Vistara with Air India. The merger is still awaiting regulatory clearances, but if you remember, Singapore Airlines had said that merging Vistara with Air India is not as risky as operating individually in a highly competitive market. The hope for the airline now would be to add the strengths with Air India and see how the synergies work.
All right, Madiha, many thanks for joining us. That is the latest there as far as Vistara is concerned. But the big story that the entire world is watching, in about 24 hours, India's moon mission, the Chandrayaan-3, will attempt a soft landing on the lunar surface. Ahead of this, the Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, has shared latest pictures of the moon captured by the camera on the landing rover. Archana is standing by now to take us through the final phase of Chandrayaan's mission. Archana, many thanks. ISRO, of course, giving us updates on what we can expect tomorrow. But the crucial time will be about 4 p.m. IST when a decision will be made whether to proceed tomorrow for the last lap or not. Take us through where things currently stand.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shireen. There are so many emotions right now around the Chandrayaan-3 landing on the moon, and why not? Because if successful, India will become the first country to land on moon's south pole. 23rd August, that is tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. India time, Chandrayaan-3 will attempt a soft landing and is expected to touch down on the surface of the moon around 6:04 p.m. There's a lot of curiosity about how Chandrayaan-3 will do so, because it is during this phase when Chandrayaan-2 crashed the last time. And K. Sivan, then chairman of ISRO, had described this phase as 15 minutes of terror. Let's attempt to explain how the landing will happen in 4 phases. From Bengaluru, ISRO will give command to lander Vikram in phase 1. The Vikram lander, that would be orbiting the moon at an altitude of 30 kilometers, will be in a horizontal position and will attempt to come down. The velocity at this point will be 1.68 kilometers a second. Now, this process will take about 690 seconds. In stage 2, the lander, which would now be at 7.4 kilometer height from the moon's surface, will tilt from horizontal to vertical position. The speed of the lander will be reduced further, and this process will take about 10 seconds. Phase 3, which is called the final braking phase, the lander will fully move into the vertical position from the horizontal position, and it will now cover a distance of 28.52 kilometers to the landing site, and the speed will be 0. The craft is now just 800 to 100 meters away from the moon's surface. Now, this is the trickiest phase, as Chandrayaan-2 crashed in the same stage where it lost control. And stage 4, When the lander is almost near the landing site, it will then carry out some tests to understand whether there are some obstacles or not. That is when it will decide to land there itself or move to a different location where it is safer to land. Now, Chandrayaan-3 will target a similar landing site as its predecessor, and this region is of important interest because of the potential presence of water that was discovered by none other than Chandrayaan-1. So basically, these 15 minutes are very crucial. The lander has to fire its engines at the right time, at the right altitude, and use just the right amount of fuel and finally touch down. Not to mention, the lander Vikram has to do all of this on its own because ISRO will not be able to guide much from Earth. Now, what next? After the successful landing, the images captured by the cameras on board, the spacecraft will be shared with Earth. However, ISRO has said that yes, if the conditions are not favorable, the touchdown will be pushed to 27th of August. Back to you.
Well, Archana, we are all going to be watching with bated breath, the last lap, so to speak, of Chandrayaan-3, and all eyes will be on that crucial ISRO mission, as Archana was pointing out. The former ISRO chief describing that 15-minute period that Archana just explained to us as 15 minutes of terror. Well, we wish the team at ISRO the very best of luck. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news will continue when we return.